First at 9. This is Aditharana 24/7.
In tonight's headlines, Prime Minister says Sri Lanka will usher in a new market with the regaining of GSP+. Exporters confident in its growth in the back of the GSP+. Finance Minister offers resident visas for investors. And Colombo Municipal Council stops the segregation of garbage. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. Welcome everyone to Aditharana 24/7 News Tonight. I'm Mahesh Johnny. We begin tonight with local news. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that a new market will be created within Sri Lanka soon as a result of the EU GSP Plus concession. The Prime Minister said this speaking at a Buddhist religious event in Karapitiya today. If a country is working towards protecting their natural environment, social development, rights of women and children, properly implement its law and order, and if a democratic framework is established, that is when the European Union lets a country enter its market through the GSP Plus concessions. The European Union banned the GSP Plus facility for Sri Lanka as there was environmental pollution, instances where our politicians openly said that they had raped women, the law was not implemented and media freedom was curtailed. There is no point in talking about 1 million job opportunities here if we cannot access the EU market. There was a ban on our fisheries exports to the European Union. We had it lifted in 2015 itself. A group of us went to Brussels and had our final discussions there. And the final step of the process was taken last week. We had to work within the National Human Rights Framework. They decided to grant us the GSP Plus concession when they got to know what we were doing. When the process is complete, we expect that there will be a new market here by April or May. We do not have to restrict the industrial zone in Hambantota. Therefore, we could start our first industrial zone from the south at Charlie Mount Place across a 350-acre land. Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama in a statement to Aditharana says he is extremely pleased with the European Commission's proposal to grant GSP Plus to Sri Lanka. He further states that the decision clearly shows the European Union recognises the progress made by the current government led by President Maithripala Sirisena and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The minister also said that it is now up to the exporters to ensure that export revenue is improved. Meanwhile, exporters, both apparel and fisheries sectors, say that they are ready to take the window of opportunity once GSP Plus facility is applicable to exploit new horizons in the export sector.
Following the European Commission decision to propose Sri Lanka as the 9th country to be granted the GSP Plus tariff concession, the apparel and fisheries sectors say that they are ready to enhance the opportunity.
For example, the apparel industry our buyers had to pay an additional duty of 10% if they were importing from Sri Lanka, which means our exporters will more costlier to them. So now what happens is we regain that position where the buyers get the benefit of a 10%, basically a price reduction if you take apparel. Once that happens, our exporters will now start negotiating with buyers to supply various products, new products, what we lost back again into the 500 million people and the 27 states in the European Union to get market access. This will take some time, but we are very positive that over the next 1 or 2 years, we will start increasing at least at about $500 million for a year. It also gives a positive sign for FDI to Sri Lanka, because people who want to come and invest in Sri Lanka, who can again add value of up to 35% for various products, can get into the European market from Sri Lanka.
Europe is going through somewhat difficult time, a recession, and that's when Europe is going through that kind of situation is when actually the price pressure becomes even more significant. That's probably an opportunity for us to really grab, because when we have the price benefit here with the GSP Plus duty savings, we should be able to grab the market much aggressively. So I think this is a great win for the country as well as for the industry, and from a Brandix point of view, we see this as a very positive move and waiting for the final formations and the formal.
Meanwhile, Premaratne added that Sri Lanka's total exports to the EU declined after the EU decided to withdraw the facility in year 2010.
If you look back in 2005, when we had the duty benefits, GSP plus duty benefits when it started, total apparel exports to Europe as against the total apparel exports from Sri Lanka stood at only 17%. By 2009, which was the last year of GSP plus, the last full year of GSP plus, it actually rose to 52%, which means that the apparel industry is one industry which took advantage out of the GSP plus in the previous time frame between 2005 and 2009 and significantly improved the situation. But unfortunately, we lost GSP plus in 2009, and during the period from 2009 to 2015, the total apparel exports to the Europe actually dropped from 52% in 2009 to 41%, which means that clearly there was opportunity lost during this period.
Fisheries exporters too are highly motivated after the news broke from Brussels yesterday.
The exports are amounting to only about 250 million US dollar, the entire seafood export to the world. When we have the GSP plus, we will have a huge benefit. You can expect investment for the production in Sri Lanka. We can expect immediate jump into about 100%. From the present amount. The government expects the seafood industry, export industry to go up to around 1.5 billion. If Sri Lanka is going to make use of this opportunity, I think we can achieve this target very, very fast.
Investors that are looking at Sri Lanka with a new vision, with a new hope, with a renewed interest, and with GSPs coming in yesterday, it obviously accepts Sri Lanka as a very financially stable, politically well-led country.
Meanwhile, a partner to the joint opposition coalition National Freedom Front today raised concerns over the government agreeing to European Union conditions in exchange for GSP plus.
දැන් ආණ්ඩුව මේ GSP plus සහනය ලබා ගන්න කොන්දේසි 27ක් ඉටු කරන්න එකඟ වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The government had agreed to 27 conditions in order to obtain GSP plus. The conditions include agreeing to the abolition of Prevention of Terrorism Act and diluting the unitary character of the state towards a federal state. It was to these conditions that the Mahinda Rajapaksa government disagreed. How many of these conditions have they agreed upon?
මෙහෙන් අපනයන කරන ඕන භාණ්ඩයකට 111ක බද්දු විරාමයක් ලැබෙනවා.
All exports from Sri Lanka will be entitled for tariff concessions of 11%. We achieved this through democratic means without betraying the country or adhering to any agreements.
කිසිම කොන්දේසියක් නැත.
There aren't any conditions. We agreed to what needs to be done to uphold democracy. Now here's something to be cautious about. 2 patients of the Kandy General Hospital died on Sunday due to the AH1N1 influenza. Health units say there is a rise in the spread of the influenza virus due to prevailing weather conditions in the country. The hospital, which remained closed in this backdrop, reopened today. The deceased had been receiving treatment at the nephrological unit at the Kandy Hospital when they died of the virus. Health officials cautioned persons, including expectant mothers who are vulnerable to such diseases, to refrain from visiting the Kandy General Hospital. Director of the Kandy General Hospital, Dr. Saman Ratnayaka, said a program has been implemented to examine every patient who arrives at the hospital. In more local stories, Minister of Social Empowerment and Welfare S.B. Dissanayake says that if the current President Maithripala Sirisena had accepted the leadership of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, then he naturally becomes the SLFP nominee for the 2020 presidential elections. The minister made these comments when he made a courtesy call on the prelate of the Malwadu chapter, Venerable Thibbatuwave Sri Sumangala Thero. Ministers Mahinda Amaraveera also made comments on this topic at various events held today.
ඉතා පැහැදිලිව අධිකරණයේ තීන්දුවක් දීලා තියෙනවා ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය වෙනස් කරනවා නම් ජනමත විචාරණයකට යන්න ඕන කියලා. ඒ අනුව ජනමත විචාරණයකට අපිට යන්න බෑ. විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමයේ අවශ්‍යතාවය ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය අපි හැටියට අපි ඒක බොහොම බරපතල විදියට හිතනවා. ඒ විධායක ජනාධිපතිවරයාට එහෙම රට බෙදීමේ රට කැඩීමේ
The SLFP considered the need of an executive presidency very seriously. The executive president has the power to take over powers from local governments if there is a situation of divide the country. Therefore, we are considering that a comprehensive power allocation. At a time when we are going to make necessary changes, the SLFP is of the view that the people have not granted this government a mandate to replace the old constitution with a new one. The UNP is not even given the mandate to form a government. Therefore, we will have to go in for a comprehensive amendment. The executive presidency will be a feature in the next election too. In such situation, we have named President Maithripala Sirisena as our party's presidential candidate. However, the president has not yet responded to this. Neither have we asked him about this, but that is the party's decision. He is our next presidential candidate.
එහෙම ඉක්මනට අකමැති වෙන්න බෑ කියන එකයි අපේ මතය.
Moving on to business news now. The foundation stone for Nestle Lanka's new factory at Pannala was laid today under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. The factory is estimated to have an investment of over 5 billion rupees. Nestle Lanka expects the Pannala factory to enhance dairy and coconut milk production. On to one of our headline stories now. Individual foreign investors will be offered residence visa in Sri Lanka for minimum investment of $300,000. During a media briefing this morning, Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake said the investments should come through. Karunanayake added that the ministry has already received 5,000 inquiries regarding the facility.
$300,000. Yeah, just an investment in a bank or a safe deposit will entitle you to this one. We basically inflow that coming for a temporary period. Use Sri Lanka as your investment destiny. Administratively, we are advising the immigration department they can start with immediate effect. But they have to prove that the money has come into the country. Any commercial bank brings in the money, they basically, not company, individuals. Not companies are entitled today, they can bring their worldwide earnings. Worldwide earnings are zero taxed in this country. Only what they are doing business in this country will be taxed in the local taxation.
How long can these people stay and can they renew it?
Yes, they can renew it. Well, as long as they would like to stay in this country. Because that will spark off more houses to be bought, that will bring more employment to be created. Instead of sending our innocent people to the Middle East, they can work in the country earning higher. So entire spectrum change. දැනට අවුරුදු 5කට ගන්න පුළුවන්. 1.5 billion will have a long stay, maybe a permanent residency. You can buy, lease out land from that.
The finance minister also called Sri Lankans investing overseas to bring back their monies to invest in Sri Lanka.
We are basically very confident that the economic system is going in a manner, despite the fact that there is an orchestrated, manipulated process of trying to show that there is problem by 2 or 3 people in the central bank, which I'll name them in the next couple of days, because we want to have sanity that prevails. When the President, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance says something, that is what basically is government policy. So we don't want that being hijacked or distorted by 2 or 3 former governors' cronies that seem to be running, which they only will think that they, but that is not the way that will be done. Absolutely not. It's only fear that are 2 people in the central bank, not the governor. He is the good soul, but he's been led by 2 cronies that basically are running the wrong way. I'm sorry I had to say this.
In other business news, Education Minister Akila Viraj Kariyavasam says that the government's pursuit of Volkswagen to be established in Sri Lanka halted due to an international issue. The minister further spoke about the agreement signed by the Board of Investment with the local agent of Volkswagen. The information was revealed by the minister during a media briefing in Colombo this morning. First, we discussed with the Volkswagen company and decided to establish the company here. But you know that they have an international issue, therefore they delayed coming to Sri Lanka. It is a European vehicle manufacturing company. They have agreed on investing 4 billion rupees. Not only a factory but also a training center is to be established. We need to train 2,500 people. They have paid 100 million rupees for this. Within 2 years, they are supposed to build the factory and training center and also ready-assembled vehicles for the market. If not, they will lose the land according to the agreement and they have to obey it. They have paid 100 million rupees to the BOI and they have already signed the agreement with regard to the land. They informed us that they will be investing 4,000 million rupees totally. On to one of our headline stories. The government's decision to collect segregated garbage seems to be a failure. Today, Adadharana uncovers the truth behind how segregated garbage is dumped.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faisal Mustafa directed that garbage should be segregated at its source and that it should not be collected by local government authorities if not.
Through this project, we hope to go for solutions that developed countries implement regarding waste management.
Segregation of garbage is an advanced thinking of developed countries which has played a huge role in their story of success in waste management. Unfortunately, our country seems to be lacking in the implementation of a proper waste management mechanism. Despite the people's contribution in the segregation process, workers of the municipal council collect and discard garbage all together.
We separated the garbage earlier, but later they told us that it is okay to put the garbage together.
A driver attached to the Colombo Municipal Council revealed more on the issue to Adadharana.
Do they segregate garbage? They just show people they do so, but they put all the garbage to the dump together. We only collect the garbage which we can sell. We throw the remaining garbage to the Meethotamulla dump.
Adadharana uncovered that collected garbage is dumped at Meethotamulla without any segregation. Adadharana will closely follow.
On sports tonight, the final Test cricket match of the three-match series with touring Sri Lankans got underway at Wanderers Johannesburg today. South Africa skipper Faf du Plessis elected to bat first, although the track is pace-friendly.
Now that's work from about off stump. That's the trap they can't fall into, I guess. There's such a temptation for Stephen.
A century stand between JP Dumini and Hashim Amla plumbed the scoreboard for South Africa after they had decided to bat first in the Wanderers Test. Sri Lanka struck twice before lunch and also missed a chance to remove Amla, playing in his 100th Test on 5.
This could be close, this could be close. He's well down the crease, Stephen Cook.
By tea, he had grounded his way to a first half century in 11 innings, happy to play second fiddle to more in-tune Dumini. The pair came together with the score on 45 for 2 after wicket in successive overs had given Sri Lanka reward for some testing bowling in helpful conditions. From the outset, Dumini chose to be positive, happy to drive whenever the ball was pitched up despite the bounce in the surface. His approach allowed Amla on extended period of bedding in as he attempted to celebrate his personal landmark with an innings of similar magnitude. Survival was not the prettiest, but Amla has credit in the bank where that is concerned. He had ground his way to 6 from 41 balls, his vigilance palpable after being given an early life before flashing a card for his first boundary. Late in the afternoon session, a brace of cover-driven fours of Suranga Lakmal suggested that his investment was playing off and he reached his 50 from 109 deliveries with a scuttle single in the last over before tea.
Through the gap. Long chase for those men from the slips, and they were.
On to some soccer news now. Arsenal player Oliver Giroud, Laurent Koscielny and Francois Coquelin have extended their contracts with the club. The Gunners did not disclose the length of the deals for striker Giroud, defender Koscielny and midfielder Coquelin.
The French trio have become first-team regulars at London outfit, with Giroud signing a new deal on the back of 4 goals in 4 games. The Gunners boss Arsene Wenger said he is very pleased that the three important players have committed for the long term. Furthermore, he added that the three players are key parts of the squad and will enrich the team for the future.
In international news now, exactly next Friday, Donald John Trump will take oath as the 45th President of the United States of America. Now, yesterday you heard outgoing President Barack Obama's very emotional speech to the nation. And then later in the night, Donald Trump held his first news conference since becoming the president in last November. Everything you expected from Donald Trump, he did deliver. Donald Trump called unified claims against him a disgrace and attacked media outlets which published them. Furthermore, he said that he will repeal and replace Obamacare and that he will start to build a wall at the border to Mexico immediately after his inauguration.
In his first news conference since winning the election, a combative Trump made clear he will not mute his style when he is inaugurated in 9 days. He lashed out at media and political foes alike in a bravura performance.
Go ahead.
Sure. No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news. Can you state,
quiet.
Mr. President-elect?
Go ahead.
Can you state categorically?
She's asking a question. Don't
Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news,
sir.
Despite this, President-elect Trump expressed himself to political issues like Obamacare and the wall to Mexico.
It'll be repeal and replace. Obamacare is the Democrats' problem. We are going to take the problem off the shelves for them. We're doing them a tremendous service by doing it. We could sit back and let them hang with it. We are doing the Democrats a great service. We're going to build a wall. I could wait about a year and a half until we finish our negotiations with Mexico, which will start immediately after we get to office, but I don't want to wait. I don't feel like waiting a year or a year and a half. We're going to start building.
Furthermore, the president-elect took position to Russian hacking and declared Russia as guilty.
Released, but I read what was released, and I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. As far as hacking, I think it was Russia, but I think we also get hacked by other countries and other people.
He finished the press conference by confirming that he is separating himself from his global business empire and will put his two oldest sons in charge. The decision is judged as inadequate to prevent potential conflicts of interest in office.
And what I'm going to be doing is my two sons, who are right here, Don and Eric, are going to be running the company. They are going to be running it in a very professional manner. They're not going to discuss it with me.
On to South Korea now. The corruption scandal around South Korea's President Park increased onto a new level after Samsung chief Lee Jae-yong has been questioned at the prosecutor's office in Seoul as a suspect in the South Korea's biggest political corruption scandal. At the center of the scandal is Park's longtime friend Choi Soon-sil, who was declared of exploiting her relations to President Park to implement donations from companies for her own use. Prosecutors classified Samsung chief Lee Jae-yong as part of a widening influence peddling scandal that may permanently unseat President Park Geun-hye. Among other things, Park's friend Choi is charged for using her political relations to push through a disputed fusion with the company Samsung. In return, Samsung should have paid $1 million to Choi. The development of the scandal could form the decision of the Constitution Court and totally unseat Park, whose surplus value are on the lowest level than ever before. Before we wrap up onto some light-hearted news, high in the French Alps, musher Remy Cosset has taken the early lead of the Great Odyssey Dog Sled Race. The race is an 11-day trek over a 670-kilometer course, which organizers say feels more like 1,000 kilometers for the dogs and their handlers because of its 20,000-meter elevation. Set among snow-capped mountains in France, 500 dogs will race across the Alps in a series series of challenges for the race. Frenchman Costi was the early leader of the event, which was first held in 2005 and features many stages raced in darkness and outside of ski areas. This year's run ends on January 18th. That's a wrap of tonight's news on Ada Derana 24/7. Thank you very much for your company for the very latest 24 hours a day. Just log on to www.adaderana.lk or like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.
This is Ada Derana and you're watching Ada Derana 24/7.